Welcome back to Cinemania Recapped. In the beginning of the movie, we see Mr. Wayland and David. Mr. Wayland has created David, who is a high-tech robot designed to assist humans in their tasks. Wayland tells David that he is his creator and that he has made him. David then asks Mr. Wayland if he has made him, then who created him? To this question, Mr. Wayland replies that he hopes they both will find the answer soon. David says to Mr. Wayland, "You are a human being who will die one day or other, while I am a robot and will therefore always be alive." Here we understand that David considers himself superior to humans. The scene shifts and we see a spaceship named Covenant. It has been launched from Earth for a planet named Origay 6. This spaceship contains 2,000 humans, 140 human embryos, and 15 crew members who are on a mission to establish a new colony of humans on the planet Origay 6. This spaceship is expected to take 7 years and 4 months to reach its destination, meaning the planet Origay 6. Now we see a high-tech robot named Walter, who looks exactly like David. He checks the crew who are currently sleeping in their sleeping pods in a hibernation state. After this, Walter checks the human embryos and finding them intact, sends them back into cold storage. Shortly after, the spaceship's AI computer warns Walter that a neutron disturbance has been detected outside the spaceship, which could cause significant damage to the ship. At that moment, a solar wave collides with the spaceship, causing a disturbance that begins to shake the ship, waking the crew members who were in hibernation. When Walter enters the pilot room, he finds that the cockpit is on fire, which he begins to extinguish with a fire extinguisher. Meanwhile, few crew members wake up and try hard to awaken the captain of the spaceship, who is still in hibernation and whose pod is not open. But then the sleeping pod catches fire, leading to Captain Jack's painful death. Captain's wife Daniels cries heavily over her husband's death. After the captain's death, Orem is made the new captain of the spaceship. He then tells his remaining crew members that he will do his best to lead them as a capable captain like Jack. He orders Walter to carry out a full inspection of the spaceship to find out why this happened. Now, everyone bids farewell to Captain Jack and sends off his dead body in the abyss of space. Captain Orem also watches this scene, where his wife Karen joins him, and Orem tells her that their crew members do not trust him. After this, Tennessee steps outside the spaceship to fix the malfunction. As soon as the problem is fixed, the spaceship's lighting system is restored. While returning to the spaceship from outside, Tennessee receives signals on his helmet from an alien planet, which he cannot figure out. Now everyone tries to decode the signal. The spaceship's AI informs them that the source of the signal has been found and it's coming from Sector 87 from some unknown planet. Rix informs everyone that the chances of life thriving on this planet are much better than Origay 6, since all elements supporting life, such as water, clean air, and land, are present there. To this, Daniels questions how this planet escaped their scanning. Daniels finds this a bit strange. Rix tells the captain that this planet is much closer to them and would only take a few weeks to reach, requiring no need to go into hibernation again. The captain now makes up his mind to land on this unknown planet instead of Origay 6, because it would still take them 2 more years to reach Origay 6. So he gives pilot Rix the order to head towards the unknown planet. Daniels argues with Orem that they spent 10 years searching for Origay 6, scanning and assessing the land. Apart from this, they received orders to go from Earth to Origay 6. Despite all this, you cannot risk everyone's lives by going to that mysterious planet. Daniels finds the planet suspicious, so she does not want anyone to go there. Daniels opposes Captain Orem as she is the vice captain of the spaceship, but Orem remains adamant about going to that planet. He says that they have heard a human voice in the transmission that Tennessee received, meaning someone is calling them there. Now we see the spaceship moving toward that planet, from where the crew members were receiving high-frequency signals. The captain orders to move closer to the planet's orbit and launches a lander towards it. As they enter the environment of the planet, their lander begins to face turbulence because the atmosphere of the planet is very dangerous, causing the connection with the spaceship to break for those inside the lander. Captain Orem and Daniels successfully navigate the lander into the atmosphere of the planet and land it in a large lake there. Now everyone sees the planet for the first time, where there is water, air, and land. The captain descends from the lander to explore the planet with his crew members, but pilot Ferris stays in the lander. Upon landing on the planet, Captain Orem asks Walter where the signal was coming from and how far it was, to which Walter informs him that the signal was coming from 8 kilometers to the west. They also find wheat crops on the planet, but the question arises, who grew the wheat over there? The environment of that planet is completely damp, and everyone is quite astonished that despite the presence of air and water, there are no sign of living creatures, which is indeed surprising. It is a deserted planet. The scene cuts to Kareen, who collects a water sample from the planet with Ledward. Ledward goes to freshen up. Mistakenly, he lands his foot on something rounded object, and we see that from that round object emerges a black liquid parasite that enters Ledward's ear. He then leaves the spot. Meanwhile, the captain is moving forward with his team when they come across a huge spaceship that is truly enormous. They go underneath the spaceship, where they find out that the spaceship has been there for a long time. One of the crew members touches the round balls, causing the same liquid parasite to enter his nose that entered Ledward. Now Ledward's condition begins to worsen. When the inspection team enters inside, they find large alien skeletons. Here Daniels also finds a locket belonging to Dr. Elizabeth Shaw. Now everyone reaches a dark chamber, where as soon as the captain touches an ancient object, a hologram comes into the scene and waves start emitting outward from that hologram, which serve as a signal. There were the same frequency waves which everyone was receiving as signals on the spaceship. When everyone looks closely, they realize that the hologram is indeed of Dr. Elizabeth. At that moment, Ledward's condition deteriorates, so Kareen takes him towards the lander and calls Ferris for her help. Ledward starts vomiting blood, so Kareen takes him to the medical area. Ferris realizes in no time that Ledward has become infected, so she locks both Kareen and Ledward in the medical room and rushes to the spaceship's communication chamber to notify Captain Oram to get back to the lander immediately. She is completely panicked. Here, Kareen pleads with Ferris to let her out, but then she sees an alien emerging from Ledward's back, violently tearing him apart. This is a xenomorph alien. Kareen pleads with Ferris to open the door, but Ferris refuses due to fear of infection. Kareen grabs a knife for her own protection, while Ferris rushes to grab a gun. The alien attacks Kareen and Wes. Just that moment, Ferris also enters with a gun and fires shoots. As a result, the alien starts chasing Ferris. While she shoots at it, it miraculously escapes each time until one bullet hits a system in the spaceship instead of the alien, which causes a fire to break out in the spaceship and then leads to a massive explosion. Captain Oram rushes to save his wife Karen in the lander, but by then it is too late because the lander is now completely on fire. Meanwhile, another infected crew member starts vomiting blood and another new alien bursts out of his mouth. This alien flees towards the bushes. The scene shifts and we see Pilot Tennessee in the spaceship as he suspects something must have gone wrong with his wife on that unknown planet. Therefore, he decides to go there as well. Now we see all the crew members looking for that alien. It then attempts to attack Daniels, but Walter intervenes. In the fight between Walter and the alien bites off Walter's hand and makes him one-handed humanoid robot. After that, everyone starts shooting the alien severely. It brutally kills several crew members during this encounter. It begins to kill everyone when suddenly a bright light flashes in the sky, frightening the alien away. A man wearing a tunic appears and asks everyone to follow him. The whole research team follows this unfamiliar man. Along the way, they see a completely devastated city, littered with the corpses of thousands of people, making it seem that some wrath has befallen them. They follow the man until they reach a very large building. Upon arrival, the man introduces himself as David and asks who their team leader is, to which Captain Oram steps forward. David informs them that 10 years ago, he and Dr. Elizabeth survived when the Prometheus crashed. In the ship they traveled in, there was a bioweapon, a microorganism. During landing, a heavy piece of equipment fell down, and in the chaos, they lost control of the ship, allowing the microorganism to escape and massacring the innocent people of this planet. Elizabeth was also killed in that crash, and I have been stuck here for thousands of years. At that point, the man takes off his hood, revealing that he is none other than David, who was created by Mr. Wayland. David says that this microorganism preys upon every living creature except for plants, whether human or animal. Captain Oram reveals to David that they have come to establish a new colony of humans on this planet. David asks how many people are with him. Then Oram reveals that there are over 2,000 people. Now David walks past Walter and greets him. "How are you doing, brother?" Daniels finds this place somewhat strange, prompting her to ask Walter to investigate it thoroughly. Walter begins examining the place and finds many samples of experimented insects that were created by David. Just then David arrives and remarks that even his shadow cannot detect his presence. David teaches Walter to play a flute and then tells him that their creator was Mr. Wayland, who has passed away, and that he was a human. Walter then tells David that he was made to be superior and more capable than all previous models. Now the scene shifts to Captain Oram and Daniels. Here Oram apologizes to Daniels for his decision to come to this planet. He says that by coming here, they lost 5 members of their crew, to which Daniels replies to let go of what happened, but they can't afford to lose any more members now. After this, we see David and Walter again. David has brought Walter to show him something. Now we see the flashback, where this planet was once filled with engineers who came to welcome the spaceship arriving at their planet, and the captain of that spaceship was David. He poisons the inhabitants of the planet with the same black liquid bioweapon parasite that begins to wipe out them completely. The microorganism completely wipes out the civilization on this planet. David confides in Walter, treating him as an equal robot. This reveals that the aliens were indeed created by David. He shows him the grave of Elizabeth Shaw, stating that he loved her just as Walter loves Daniels. Now we see the alien moving towards someone. Rose, who has come out to refresh herself when she senses someone behind her. When she turns around, a fully matured xenomorph alien stands behind her, which kills Rose in the twinkling of an eye. David also arrives at that moment, and the alien approaches him, but does not harm him. Captain Oram also gets in the scene. David attempts to communicate with the alien, but the captain shoots the alien, killing it. Captain then sees Rose's decapitated head. Captain points his gun at David, demanding to know what is going on. At that point, the Covenant ship is also on its way to assist the people stranded on the planet. Now David takes the captain into a basement, where he shows him many bottles containing the same parasitic microorganisms from which he created the aliens. Over the years, David has conducted deadly experiments on various insects, and these are the results: the aliens. He created a dangerous breed by intermixing 2 species, which obliterated everyone on this planet. After this, he takes the captain to an incubation chamber, where as the captain touches an egg, it opens automatically. When he peers inside, a face hugger emerges and latches onto the captain's face, implanting its embryo within him. Daniels gathers all the remaining crew members and urges them to escape from the planet as quickly as possible because it's not worth living. Meanwhile, a lander heads towards the planet with Tennessee on board. The captain regains consciousness and asks David what he intends to do. To this, David replies, "Creation." Suddenly, an alien bursts forth from the captain's chest and starts imitating David. Now Walter arrives in David's lab, where he spots a woman's dead body, none other than Dr. Elizabeth's. This indicates David's madness didn't spare his beloved Elizabeth either. Subsequently, Walter enters David's room, where he tells David that he has realized that the microorganisms did not escape by themselves during landing. Rather, David was the one who released them. On this, David says that he was not meant to be a slave, nor was Walter. He questions Walter why he is helping humans preserve their civilization, claiming they do not deserve it. Realizing Walter is not like him, David disables him. The scene shifts to Daniels, who enters a chamber where she uncovers David's dark deeds. Meanwhile, Coles finds himself in the same incubation chamber where the facehugger hatchlings are present. He also spots the captain's dead body when a facehugger attacks him. Another crew member tries to save him, but the facehugger latches onto his face as well. Cole manages to remove the facehugger, but in the process, Lopi's face gets burned. Just then, a xenomorph alien shows up and kills Cole brutally. Meanwhile, Daniels sees a photo of Elizabeth when David arrives. He begins to attack Daniels, but Walter suddenly intervenes, throwing David against the wall. Walter has healed himself because he is not an ordinary robot. Now a fierce battle ensues between Walter and David, while Lope and Daniels escape from the location and send a signal to Tennessee. After defeating David, Walter also arrives there to escape from that place. Tennessee arrives with a lander to rescue the stranded crew. Everyone rushes toward the lander when the xenomorph alien comes after them. They all safely board the lander, and Tennessee informs them that the creature is pursuing them. Daniels boldly steps out to shoot the alien, but this disrupts the lander's balance, causing her to dangle from a rope. The alien attempts to break through the spaceship's glass to get inside, but somehow they manage to kill the alien. After this, Walter takes Daniels inside the spaceship, and thus all the remaining crew members escape the planet. Now Daniels approaches David and thanks him for saving her life. All of a sudden, the spaceship's AI informs Daniels that there is a creature in the spaceship, prompting her and Tennessee to head toward it. Just then, we see Walter's face wearing a sinister smile. As Daniels observes, the alien has killed one of their crew members. After a hard-fought battle, Daniels and Tennessee trap the alien and then cast it into the vastness of space, freeing themselves from it. Now the remaining people set off to reach Org-6, where they will establish a new human civilization, a journey that will still take them 3 more years. Tennessee drifts off into hibernation sleep in his sleeping pod. After this, Walter tells Daniels, "Now it's your turn, Captain." Walter informs Daniels that when she wakes up, they will all be on Org-6, and afterwards, Walter locks Daniels in the hibernation chamber. Daniels tells Walter that they will build a wooden cabin by the lake when they reach Org-6, but Walter gives no response. At that moment, Daniels realizes that it is not Walter but David, because he had killed Walter in that fight. Before Daniels can say anything, Walter puts her to sleep in hibernation. In the movie's final scene, we see David regurgitating 2 alien embryos from his mouth and placing them with the human embryos, which means he plans to establish a new alien colony on the planet Org-6 as well. And with that scene, the movie ends.